Hang on a minute, stay at that behind me. We were recently asked by one of you guys in our comments section on what some of the pitfalls associated with running a homestead. I wouldn't class us as a homestead, I'd class us as a farmstead, but there are a lot of similarities. There's a lot of overlaps. For us on here, we've of course got the goats, we've got the eucalyptus, we've got the bamboo, and we've got the crayfish. And they're all as business. Whereas on a homestead, you could still all have those things, but you're looking at being sort of not necessarily self-sufficient, although a lot of people do try to go down that route. But it's primarily to feed themselves, and if they've got a little bit of surplus, then they could look at selling it. So it's just flipped. You know, we have the goat, yeah, we eat goat meat, but we sell a lot more than we actually eat. The crayfish, yeah, we've just started selling those, but we grow so many now. We're primarily selling that and eating the ones that have just got one claw maybe. Homesteading, of course, will also focus on perhaps preserving foods for different times of the year. Yeah, they may well be off-grid. I mean, we're off-grid with the farm. Both, of course, can be organic. As far as our farm goes, most of you will know that we're going down the route of regenerative agriculture and trying to improve the farmland that way. Of course, you can implement those sorts of things on a homestead, regardless of what size plot of land you've got available. But really, it's, you know, on a farm, it's on a much bigger scale. Like we make the biochar, we don't mess about now. When we make it, we make a huge batch. What is becoming quite big now in both homesteading and farmsteading is people really focusing their efforts on increasing their natural resources, and it's something that I've looked into quite a bit in the current global climate. You know, I think it's very, very important to start building up a repertoire of things that you can fall back on. You know, not just crops that you can eat, but things you can use as well. So, you know, just like the eucalyptus here, yeah, we can sell it, but we can use this for a lot of projects. We have done in the past, and we continue to do so. Same with the bamboo, we don't eat or sell all of it. Some of it is used for building materials as well. With most farms these days, modern agriculture, there's a lot of machinery that's involved. You know, you're talking about a lot of acreage on some of these farms, and to do it all by hand and on foot, it's just logistically impossible for a lot of farms. But of course, it does depend on what type of farm you are running as well. All right, mate. Hello, Bullseye. If we were a farm and not a farmstead, Bullseye wouldn't be called Bullseye. It'd be called number 47. And he probably wouldn't be getting all these hugs every day. To me, farmsteading, you're living on the farm. You're living and breathing the farm. Whereas just where we are now, all these farms that are surrounding us, no one lives on their farms. So I wouldn't class any of those as a farmstead. To me, it's a way of life. You know, you're totally immersed in the land. All right, mate. What you're growing and the animals that you've got on there. The other part for me as well is working with nature. I make no secret of it. We found it very, very difficult farming in the early part of our venture here, the first year and a half or so. I mean, it's still hard now, but physically, we found ourselves constantly battling against nature. Whereas now the focus is on working with nature, and it becomes a lot easier. It was only about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I'd still be ploughing this area, and then when the rains come, it would just all flood, and the surface water would run off to next door. So whether you're a farmstead or a homestead, or you're looking to get into either of those as your next venture, it is obviously hard work. You know, it is physically demanding, even if you haven't got a buck pushing you around half the time. But there's the positive for it. As hard as it is, you get some beautiful moments. You know, he's me mate. He really is me mate. Well, I think he is. I don't know what he thinks. You soppy tart. We're mainstream goat farming, trying to make as much money as possible. I wouldn't spend half the amount of time out here with these animals. and they would probably be all penned up, all locked up if it was going for maximum production. No, if it was coming down to that, then I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be farmers. It's not really the sort of thing that floats our boat. It's to us, it's having the connection between the land, the animals. We're, you know, being wouldn't say we're as one with nature. We're still learning a lot. But it's, yeah, it's getting your hands dirty, getting sweaty, blood, sweat and tears, that sort of thing. You are very, very much part and parcel of, I don't know, almost like the ecology of the land that you're on. When we look back at our earlier videos and our photos, you wouldn't believe this is the same land. One thing I did find quite frustrating when we first moved to the farm was how long everything takes. Prior to that, everything in my life, if it needed doing, then you did it, you know, and it might have took a day, a week, a month or something like that. On a farm, it takes a long, long time. Unless you're in that position where you can just throw shed loads of money at it and, you know, get all the big heavy machinery in at the start and transform your place over the course of a week or two. But it still needs time to mature, even if you're putting mature trees in. Another really big hardship was not long after we planted our 50 palm oil trees, which were quite expensive. We took the decision to go, well, I sort of put pressure on Toon for us to go organic. And because we'd been ploughing and using chemicals up until then, and we had bare soil, as soon as we went organic, the bugs had an absolute field day. And to watch your investment getting absolutely decimated by all sorts of creepy crawlies, it was hard, and it was hard to stay true to the path of going organic. To date, we've still only lost one palm tree, and that was down to me. I got it with the strimmer. So yeah, the palms had been in about 6 months or so, and yeah, to see them going downhill, 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 it was, what can I say? It was tempting. It was tempting to just go out there and spray them, but we didn't. And I think the combination of all the other things we did with the inoculated biochar and the heavy mulching, we just got through it. But it was close. It was really, really close. It was very, very touch and go whether we were going to lose a lot. And that's the thing, when you make decisions on the farm or your homestead, if you're talking about, well, it doesn't have to be a huge amount of land, but if you've planted a big crop in there or something like that, and you get it wrong, or the weather takes a turn for the worse, you know, the rains don't come, or there's too much water coming, you risk losing, well, not just your investment and your time, but you got to start all over again the next year. And what about if you get 2 years bad weather on the bounce? So that's why we've tried to diversify. To us, it gives you a bit more of a safety net, just in case one thing fails. One thing that failed in our eyes was keeping ducks. We started off with about 20. Oh, settle down, mate. Big girl's blouse you are. Now, when we got our first lot of ducks, there wasn't anywhere else around us that were growing them. And we had orders coming out of our ears. Loads of people said, oh, just get more, get more, get more. We'll come and buy them every week. So we did. We bought 100 more, didn't we? And yeah, we got a lot of eggs. But the predators, not just the snakes and the big water monitor lizards having them, they were taking the birds as well, of course. But it was the crows. The crows were probably worst out of everything, to stealing the eggs. If you didn't get up before it started to get light, then it was quite bad. And yeah, we kept them in a duck house in the end to keep the crows away. But they'd still drop a few eggs out, you know, when you let them out, because we were free ranging them during the day. But when you put them away at night, it's quite hard to keep some of these big powerful predators at bay. And sometimes you wouldn't get any orders for a few days, which when you're getting over 100 eggs a day, they start to build up. Immediately you've got to start thinking, right, what's plan B then? We didn't initially think, oh, well, let's just give up. Soon started preserving them, so she was doing salted eggs, fermented eggs, all those sorts of things. One of the reasons we took a hit on it was because the local temple was having a big celebration. Someone came to us and put a huge order in, and we were like, oh, brilliant, thank God we got all these ducks. But what happened, excuse my French, we pissed off all our regular customers because over the course of like 2 weeks, there was a guy coming every 2 days to pick up every single egg we had for this thing that was going on at the temple. As soon as the order was complete for the temple, we'd lost most of our customers. They'd found somewhere else that had started doing ducks. It came to a point where we had to take a decision, and yeah, we decided to, well, it was almost letting them go, not into the wild, but we didn't give them away free, but we did lose a fair bit of money on that, and it's quite hard to swallow. That's a bitter pill. It's I did a video on it. It is swallowing your pride. You know, at some point you get to the stage where you think, hang on a minute, this is taking up so much time and effort, and we're making, I think in the end it was working out about 10 baht a tray. It was a real struggle. So we were looking at how long that was taking out of our time every single day, putting that into a week. What could you accomplish in that time? And we thought, well, I'm sure we could make more than 10 baht per tray, you know, with that amount of time and effort. So that's when we took the decision to bin off the ducks. We also reduced our numbers of poultry right across the board. You know, with the quail were coming up to an age where they were getting a little bit old, and then production was starting to drop off there. Quail food is a horrific price, the proper quail food. So we let those go in the end. We sold a few of those. I ate a few of those, and we reduced the numbers of our chickens to a more manageable number. Now we just keep the native Thai chickens. We've got about 30 of those. They're quite hardy. We've still got one goose. Hang on a minute, he's rubbing himself on me again. Jog on, mate. Should be chasing girls, not boys. Of course, if we were just on a homestead setup, it wouldn't have been an issue. You know, you got half a dozen ducks. I think they're perfect. They're good for pest control. So, yeah, scaling up a little bit too early. From what others were saying, just be careful with that. You do get some people that get all excited about things and promise you this and promise you that, and oh, this will be a good money spinner, and oh yeah, I'll come and buy that off you. You know, you haven't got anything in a written contract, guys. And well, even written contracts these days, you know, beware. The biggest challenge by far for me and Toon is how physically demanding it is. It's not mentally demanding. There's a lot to learn, yes, admittedly. There's a hell of a lot of things to learn, but it's the actual getting out and doing it. And certainly in the weather out here, it is horrific. Today, well, my phone's saying it's 39 degrees, Toon's saying it's 40. That's why I thought, well, I need to come out and check on the goat, so hopefully there's a little bit of shade. There you can see there's not a huge amount of cover for me, but it's red hot. It was only about a year ago, I think, that I was still strimming out here with the old weed whacker, and I was trying to take down the grassy, weedy areas that the goats couldn't really make any headway in. I'll show you an area now. I think it just demonstrates how your land evolves depending on what you implement on it. So for us, it's running a herd of goats, and you'll be amazed, absolutely amazed on the efficiency. Also the devastation if they get in your vegetable patch. But transforming farmland with livestock, it's just, whew. Let's have a look at this. This bit here, you could not walk through. I'll just show you this. It's like bamboo canes, this. That is nasty hard stuff, and it's even hard to get through with a chopper, that is. But once they've bent it over and nibbled on the end, that's it. They just keep on getting it shorter and shorter and shorter. This is what they're after. That's good. So once this is tamed, it'll just, well, you can see what it's doing. It's just sprouting from ground level. Of course, now the floor is opened up to sunlight, so we'll start to get the different grasses coming through, like those. Once that starts taking hold, then, well, you're just looking at something totally different than what you've had previously. All right, Doris, you blanked me on the last video, didn't you, when I said we were mates now? Let's have a little stroke, just show people we like each other. Hey, what are you doing? Doris, don't bite. Hey, good girl now, aren't you? She never likes the camera, that one. I think the next hardest thing that Toon and I have found, and I know I'm speaking on behalf of Toon, I'm not taking her for granted, guys. I do know how it affects her as much as it affects me, and that's the loss of livestock. Now, I've never liked it, even when we've lost a chicken or a duck or a goose. But I don't know whether it's because they're so cute, but when you lose a goat, I imagine it'd be the same for sheep or maybe pigs. I don't know. I'm not really been around those sorts of animals much. It does tug on the old heartstrings, and it's all right saying, well, you need to toughen up if you're going to be a farmer. You know, if you're the sort of person that runs a farm, I'm not sure how to say this, but it's what I feel, so I'll say it. To me, if you're a livestock farmer, whatever it is, and you don't find it emotional when one of those dies, and I don't mean just because you've lost 100 quid or whatever, or $100, it's my opinion, I think you don't care about your livestock. That's the way I think. I don't mean if you give all your goats, if you just give them numbers instead of names, you don't care. You know, if that makes it easier for you when it's time to sell them, or if one passes, then yeah, that's what works for you. As you know, we give names to all our, well, not just goats, nearly all our animals. You know, they're part and parcel of the whole thing that we're doing here. It is like a big family. Yeah, some of them are naughty, but we spend a lot of time with these animals, and if we gave them a number, when they're being naughty, if you shout out number 47, Bullseye ain't gonna have a clue who you're talking to. He didn't know he's being naughty. Whereas you shout at him, you know straight away. Well, if Toon shouts at him, I don't shout at him, he's my mate. So building up that rapport with the animals, yes, you do have that emotional investment with them. I dare say it does make it harder when it's time for them to go, or you know, or when something horrible does happen to them. Also the young kids, when the young kids pass, that is quite hard, especially if they've had a few days with you as well and something happens to them. Getting things wrong, being a livestock farmer, when one of your livestock or more dies, quite often it's your fault. You've cocked it up big time, so you've got to deal with that, and that is hard. You know, some people just say, well, that sort of thing happens, doesn't it? Well, if you've been a prat and forgotten to do something, don't hide from it. It's your fault. Just tell yourself, well, I'm not going to be a prat again and forget to do that. Yeah, it's all too easy to fob things off and just say, oh, well, that's the way it is. Yes, we are all human and we do make mistakes. I'm not saying you should beat yourself up, but sometimes I think you should give yourself a bit of a grilling when you cock something up and an animal dies because of you. The good thing about farmsteading is, with this diversification, you can have a go at different things. You can do things differently to other people. So here, everyone tills, most of them burn. I don't know anyone else that's organic round here. I don't know anyone that's organic in our district. Honestly, I don't know one. You've got to be, I don't know if brave's the right word, but you've got to be a little bit, maybe a little bit stubborn. And you can see people's faces that, you know, farm for years and that they'll drive past on their little tok or whatever, and they'll see all the weeds and tall grass, you know, and they're thinking that they ain't got a bloody clue, those two, Toonanly. And yeah, maybe on occasions we don't. Maybe we're trialing something. Maybe we're just thinking, well, hang on a minute, let's just wait, let's just see. What's the worst could happen? You're leaving it to Mother Nature for, say, 6 months or a year. See what happens. You don't know how that, for us, how this pasture would work out. We had an idea that it would improve. I'd have been absolutely shocked and probably devastated if it didn't. But I thought, if we stop any sort of chemicals being used on the land, stop turning the soil over, I'm sure something is going to be created a lot better than what we've got now. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, does it? You can go back to what you were doing before or try something different. Yeah, take advice from people, nothing wrong with that. Do your research, nothing wrong with that. But give it a go. For me, I'm crazy about biochar, I'm crazy about mulch. You know, they're probably the two biggest things that I really like to implement on the farm as much as possible. For some people it's composting, some people use a lot of compost tea. You know, some of you continually say to me, do a black soldier fly larvae setup. At the end of the day, you've got to do stuff that you feel that connection with. And things that you enjoy. If you don't enjoy it, how can you realistically live this life? Yeah, I am blissfully happy with this life, as most of you know, but yeah, it's not all a bed of roses. You know, you have your days that I wouldn't say you're despondent, but some days I think combined with the tiredness, and then it could be that a storm hits you. It could be that you're aching. It could be that you've had a naughty goat. It could be that something's died. You could have all those in the same day when you're farming. And it's how you deal with it. If you look at them as challenges rather than problems, I think that goes a long way to helping. For us, being off grid isn't an issue. On a farmstead, yeah, we'd like a little bit more juice, a little bit more power in the solar system. But you know, you just make do. Maybe in the future we'll uprate that. But we've got enough to get by. Yet when we had the 6-month drought, we didn't have enough power to irrigate certain parts of the land, or certain parts of the farm rather, that we'd have liked to have. But that's when you got to make decisions, and you'll be like, right, okay, we've got to cut the bamboo loose for now, because we've got to save that water for the palms. Or it could be, right, we're going to have to drain down a fish pond. It's not like you're going to lose all your fish. We can move them to another pond, or we can eat them, or a bit of both. Our focus isn't all about making money. If it was, we'd probably still be in the bloody UK. The thought of that, Jesus, as much as I want to see me mum going back to that sort of life. And I'm not knocking anyone that's, you know, still doing a 9-to-5 or anything like that. But once you've found, what do you call it, your lot in life? I don't know whether we'll call it a utopia or not. Maybe pushing it, I don't know. I think so. A mini utopia. The thought of, for one, losing that and then going back to what you were doing before. Yeah, I mean, I did what I did before for many years, just grinding it out. But for quite a few of the last years, I had the goal of being here. So if you think you can work really hard, deal with the downs as well as you do the ups, and then you've got a sporting chance, I reckon. Try to use what you've got available to you on the land. It could be stuff that's left over from building projects. It could just be natural resources that are growing on the land or just laying around on the land. It may not look all prim and proper, but if it's functional and it works, I can't see a problem with it. I think recycling, upcycling, reusing, I think we should be doing more of it in my book. And the good thing, if you save money on those sorts of things, reusing materials, it may well free up some money to get another piglet or another lamb or something like that. I know it's a temptation when you start a new venture, you want everything just right, don't you? But yeah, it may be quite some time before you can start generating the income that you'd like. So if you can just throttle back on the spending at the start, then even if it leaves a few pennies in your bank just to get you through your, say, that first 6 months or a year before you can start selling some whatever it is, whatever produce or livestock, then it'll give you that little bit of buffer. We've always been on pretty much a knife edge here because we'd always planned to sell our village house, which still hasn't happened. So yeah, you might have some tough calls to make. For us, it was letting go our Nissan Navara pickup truck. We were still all right. It was we just converted our old Yamaha motorbike and created our Ben-Hur chariot, and we had that for a few years. It depends if you're willing to sacrifice a few things early on, and hopefully in the future it'll pay dividends. It could be well worth thinking about growing something that isn't so labour intensive. You know, our bamboo, it takes care of itself now. So is the eucalyptus. Crayfish are pretty much low maintenance. Yeah, the goats take up a fair bit of time. But you know, there's 72 of them currently, and they make up the majority of our income on the farm. So yeah, we don't mind allowing most of our time and effort into them. As enjoyable as this lifestyle is, I admit, realistically you do have to make a coin, don't you? You have to pay for this and pay for that. But it's how much is quite a touchy subject because we're all different. For me and Toon, we want to have, how could we put it, enough with a little bit spare. That's what we would like. Speaking personally, and not for Toon here, I'm addicted to this farm. Most of the time, I never want to leave the place. If I nip into town with Toon, I can't wait to get back. Yeah, but I'd be a fool. Right, Chestnut. But I'd be a fool to not actually get off the farm, because whether I want to go off the farm or not, Toon does. Luckily for her, she's always got her errands to run into town anyway. She's always helping her mum and her little niece, so there she's got that little release from the farm anyway. I do enjoy it when we nip out in the evenings and go and have a meal. I think currently it's probably about once a month, maybe once every 2 months. At one point we were probably going out once a week. But here's the other thing, as your livestock increase, it's more and more demanding. So the scalability of livestock farming, or if you're going to be on your homestead, as those numbers increase, your time and input increases. So you know, you could have a sick animal that needs attention. You could have some newborns and the mum may have passed, or they haven't got milk for their newborns. You know, you got to step up to the plate. Then you got to do what she was supposed to be doing. And then there's the worry sometimes. You know, for us, a goat can get his head stuck, a hoof stuck, can break a leg. We've had 2 leg breaks, and if it's at the wrong time of day or the vet can't come out, it's down to you to sort it out. Soon sorted it out on both occasions. We've only ever had the vet out once, and it was quite early on. One of our goats, she'd not long given birth, and she'd got really bad diarrhea, and the weight was just dropping off her. we thought we were going to lose her. She just stopped eating as well, and he came out and he worked his magic. But while he was here, we picked his brains, so it's building up that information, so the next time it happens you'll be like, right, we've got that shot ready to give her, we know what food to give her and all those sorts of things. Hang on a minute, stay at that behind me. Do you mind, mate, trying to flipping teabag me? It may be that you've got a neighbour that can look after your place. If it's a homestead, if it's a farmstead, it's the scales are a lot bigger. Yeah, we got the guys who come and work on the farm. They're good security. They like the animals as well, but it takes a long time to build up that, I don't know, it's like a portfolio of, you know, goat care for us. It's, you know, if this happens you do this, if this happens you do that. It takes a long time to get someone up to speed, but long term that's what we want to do. When the building projects are finished, then the main guy, we want to bring him on board if he's up for it. We've sort of broached the subject before, and I wouldn't say train him up, but get him to the point where we could be like, right, we're gonna shoot off for a couple of days. We're gonna go and rent a raft on a reservoir and fish for a couple of nights. Once we get someone to that level, then yeah, we can shoot off for a few days, have a proper break. I'd still be worried sick that something's happened while we're not here. Don't let other people put you off. You know, if there's something that you want to have a crack at that's a little bit different, just because someone else may or may not have had a go at it and it didn't work out, or in their opinion it's not viable. If you want to do it, just go for it. You're not answerable to anyone apart from yourself and your other half, are you? You don't try, you don't know. That person that may be knocking your idea, they may never have been to your farm. They haven't seen firsthand the conditions of your land, how extreme the weather may be in the various seasons. So I think one of my mantras now is, you know, don't underestimate nature. If you've got an idea and you want to try implement something, give it a go. If you give nature a chance, it may well surprise you. And if it doesn't, at least you've tried. Then you know for sure it's not going to work. Yeah, there's lots of people out there saying that growing organic it's not worth the extra effort for the money that you get back. Well, I don't think that way. I think Toon might have thought that way originally, maybe. I'm not sure. But to me, first off, organic is better for the soil, generally speaking. What you're growing, you want to be able to eat. And this is something that's always surprised me. If you've got a farm or farmstead, how many farmers don't actually grow their food? And you grow it all to corn or rice or 50-50. And then you go down the bloody market and buy all your fruit and veg. What's all that about? You don't need a lot of land to actually grow enough food for yourself. And you know what you're eating. So to me, it is a little bit harder initially maybe to grow organic. But once it's got going, it's easier. You go no-till, it's easier. You fix the soil. Plants are stronger, healthier. If your plants are stronger and healthier, then they don't get eaten by so many pests and bugs. But that initial bit, yeah, it's harder. And you'll have weeds everywhere. Now, I don't call them weeds, they're my helpers. Or, you know, I use them for mulch. You could use them for the poultry, for the goats, for composting, for my fermentation. It's just different people, different ideas. If you're growing stuff just to sell, yeah, then that may well be an issue. You know, is it going to be more labour intensive? Is the profit margin going to be slimmer? Can you actually charge enough for organic produce? Whereas to us, we've now started. We're not actually selling it. Don't knock us. But we now started giving some of our initial produce that's coming out of the garden. It was first of all we fed ourselves, feeding Toon's mum, and now neighbours and other elderly people in the village. Once we get enough production, then we'll start selling it in the village. We don't know whether we're just going to go down in the morning and Toon go down with our little Ben-Hur chariot. Right, this is what we've got for today. 5 baht a bag, whatever it is. 10 baht a bag, whatever it is. Or we might just leave it all at Toon's mum's, and she's got like a big table out the front and just leave it out there. She likes to sit outside chatting to all the other old ladies in the village and just sell it that way. We don't have to charge more than the market, so people are getting really good fresh produce. It's definitely going to be more healthy. The chemical use out here is horrific. I truly believe that people will be able to taste the difference as well. I certainly can. Toon can, from what we've grown already. If you're just starting out or just thinking about starting out, don't rush into anything. Live on your land for a little while. So some of the things that I wish we'd have done differently. As soon as we moved here, I would have had it all ploughed. And I know you're thinking, well, you just said you no-till. Just to balance the land out, because there was a lot of undulations and a lot of them weren't particularly helpful and still aren't. So we'd have got that and immediately cover cropped the whole area. When I say cover crops, you can still use a cover crop that you can eat, that you can chop and drop, then you can sell. So it doesn't mean that you're just letting your land go wild for a year and you're not going to get any other benefit than covering the soil. You know, there are other benefits from doing cover crops depending on what you're going to plant. We would have never have used any chemical whatsoever. We would have never have torched anything at all. Yeah, most of you know, you're just killing the top layer of your soil of all microbial and fungal activity in there. You know, your food web is just getting absolutely destroyed. And yeah, I know a lot of people say, oh, burn and then look at your grass grow. It's nice and green and grows fast afterwards. It's not quite what you want, guys. It's what you want down underneath the grass that's important. Here in Thailand, very, very important that you get your head round the best way to catch as much water as you can. You know, some of these dry seasons, well, the world over, isn't it? It's the climate and seasons seem to be all over the place, don't they? So you never know whether you're going to get a dry season. If you do get a dry season, you don't know whether it's going to last 6 months or upwards. You know, are you going to be growing stuff that is heavily dependent on water? If you're tilling, depending on what you're growing, you're going to need a lot of water. You're going to need to irrigate a lot. Even if you're using cover crops and you're mulching, I mean, effective mulching, they reckon you use only 10% of water that you would do normally. You've still got to have that 10% from somewhere. How are you going to link up all these areas as well? So now we've got a road round our lake, a side entrance onto the farm that takes you straight to the lake, so we can have deliveries. Also, when we sell the goats, they can go straight off there. And then, of course, we've also got the access at the front of the farm as well. The next thing for us as far as access goes, we're going to combine, when we do our weeping dams for the flood water, still yet to do them, that will also incorporate walkways onto the pasture. So in the height of our rainy seasons, the goats will still have a relatively dry pathway. The remaining low-lying areas will just be left to go all soggy and spongy. See, before that was all mud. Now it's like a big spongy green mattress. But if it gets heavy goat traffic, their hooves till it all into the soil, and then it'll become mud, and we don't want that. Here's the best goat on the farm, Brownie. In you go, eh? I may well shed a tear when it's time for her to go. I'm definitely not eating her. I couldn't. I'd be crying in my curry. Or goat curry. I reckon once you've got all your soil covered up and you've got your head round how you're going to collect as much water as you think you need, and your access is all just right, then you can start planning what you want to grow and where to grow it. Maybe start off a fairly small scale, learn from your mistakes, make the relative tweaks, or if it hasn't gone well and you don't want to do it again, at least you haven't invested all that time, effort and money and growing something for, like, I don't know, 5 acres or so, and perhaps you've only just done it in a small area and you'll be like, that's a load of rubbish, doesn't even taste nice, doesn't. You can just bin it off, can't you, and try something else. After that, and I think this is the point that me and Toon are at now, it's continually analysing and assessing how things are going, and just trying to make small improvements. If you make an improvement every day, it doesn't have to be a big thing, does it? But if you continue to get things better and better, I think you're going to end up with something quite special. It could be that you're doing things more efficiently, you know. So little things. Let's try and give you an example. Just the positioning of our fermentation tanks. Just putting them in the areas that you regularly apply those to certain crops. You know, I used to have them all near the taps. Now I actually have them spread out over the farm so that I can just go there, get my water can, and then give it to the crops nearby. Sufficiency, efficiency. There's a slogan for you, isn't it? When you carry a water can, well, you got 2 hands, haven't you? You should be carrying 2. When we go to check on the goats regularly throughout the day, we don't go empty-handed. Take something with you that you'll need later on. So for us, it's the little bag of cassava treats, or it could be another bucket of the mineral mix or something like that. Yeah, because you've got to go back again later. It's 2 trips instead of 1. It's just simple things like that. Once you get in the right mindset, it becomes a lot easier. And when you're doing it in 40 degrees heat, it has a fair old impact by the end of the day. That was going to be my last one, but that's just prompted me on one that I hadn't contemplated before. And it's how hard to push yourself, because there's no 2 ways about it. If you're going to be running a farmstead or a homestead, to get the most out of it, you have to push yourself. And for us, the factors that are limiting us is the weather, of course. We try to do certain things at certain times of the day. Sometimes you've just got to get out there and do it. You know, you haven't got a choice. The other thing is your age. We can't run around like spring chickens. Hey, hey! I don't have as much hammock time as I probably should do. But hand on heart, I'm probably not working as hard as I have done. Because I think it comes a point where there's a fine line between working hard and it being good for you, like a really good workout, and going too far. And I think as you get older as well, I think we need to bear that in mind a little bit more. And that's why our long-term plan is to get someone up to speed and on board with us, that understands where we're coming from, what we're trying to do, and let them take the reins on the really heavy stuff. Thankfully, the heavy stuff's getting less and less now because most of the projects are complete. It's just tweaking things here and there. I think one of the next ones, that was it. Someone asked me about the plans for the little camping areas on the farm. Yeah, they're still in there, guys. Obviously, with the current global situation, we're in no great rush to have those constructed. The tourism side of things is the least of our concerns at the minute. It's nice now because we're with the vegetable garden and doing things like that. It's starting to feel more like a home now, whereas before it was just the land and the animals. Now we're gradually getting there. It's taken a while. You cooled down now, mate. You're hotter than our camera. I don't know why you have to show your testicles every time I get the camera out, eh? I know they're impressive, but really?